This meeting is being recorded.
We are now recording. Whenever you're ready, Chair Bossler.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for being here today. It's nice to virtually see you. Let's see here. Chuck Miller is going to be helping us with our meeting today in Belreza's absence. I'd like to ask my colleagues on the commission, if you would, please keep your video on throughout the meeting today to help remain as accessible as possible to our audience. And I'll ask the same of our participating city staff. Now we're going to do a quick roll call to confirm commissioner attendance. When I call your name, if you would, please unmute yourself and say present. Commissioner Rebecca Smith, Commissioner DeHaan Blevins, Commissioner Amani Robinson, Commissioner Tracy DeZenzo.
Here, present.
Present.
Amani, okay, terrific, thank you. Let the record reflect that both Commissioner Robinson and Commissioner DeZenzo are present. Commissioner Friedman.
Present.
Commissioner Hughes.
Present.
Commissioner Nuana. Commissioner Hughes.
Present.
Commissioner Kim. Commissioner Martin.
Present.
Commissioner Moctezuma.
Present.
Wonderful. Commissioner Opstead. Commissioner Philpott. And Commissioner Polito.
Present.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your attendance. It has been noted. Also joining us today from city staff include our Chief of Civic Art Strategies, Christine Jones. I think that our project manager, Belreza, is in another meeting at this point. We do have our Senior Public Art Manager, Chuck Miller, with us, as well as our Civic Art Project Manager, Laura Bullock, and our Arts and Culture Project Manager, Kip Eishen. And Executive Director, Jonathan Glass, had to unfortunately be in another meeting today, so he'll be joining us for our next meeting. Before we get into today's agenda, I'm going to call on Chuck, if he would, to please run down some of the guidelines for today's meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Bossler. Good morning, everyone. As you've noticed, we are conducting this meeting as a Zoom webinar. In an effort to provide greater accessibility, members of the public may join the meeting as webinar attendees in order to provide virtual non-agenda and agenda comment in real time. Commissioners, city staff, and authorized presenters are attending the meeting as panelists, and the meeting will function for them identically to a typical Zoom meeting. As a refresher, please note the buttons on the control bar at the bottom of the Zoom window. The camera icon is to activate your video. The microphone is to mute and unmute. Please remember to stay muted when you are not talking and to unmute yourself when you speak. You will also see the chat window button. Please keep your chat window open at all times, as you will be using the chat to signal when you'd like to speak. We do recognize that there is a hand raising function. However, we request that you type speak in the chat window for the record, and the chair will acknowledge requests in order. When wanting to make a motion, second a motion, or participate in discussion, please type speak in the chat box and Chair Bossler will call on you in the order entered. Please refrain from using the meeting chat for anything other than signaling that you'd like to speak in order to comply with the Brown Act. Thank you. Chair Bossler.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Next, our first action item will be to suspend the rule whereby the commission's executive committee sets the commission meeting agenda. What we need to do at this point is that the executive committee was not able to approve our agenda today in its entirety. Executive Director Glass had planned on providing an overview of the anticipated cultural planning process that will commence this winter, as well as a briefing on the World Design Capital 2024. As I mentioned earlier, Jonathan is unable to attend the meeting today due to an immovable scheduling conflict, but he will be sure to provide us an overview on both of those items in the coming months. So before we begin, is there any public comment on this particular agenda item?
I'll just jump in really quickly to say, for the record, Commissioner Phil Pott has entered the meeting.
Wonderful.
But there is no comment submitted in writing for this agenda item. Let's see, for those members of the public in attendance, please click the button to raise your hand to indicate that you would like to comment, and I will enable you to speak and send you a prompt to unmute yourself in order. When I call your name, please state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to provide comment, after which you will be placed on mute again. So if you would like to provide comment for this item, please press the hand raise button now. I'm seeing none.
Okay, terrific. So what needs to happen is that we need a motion in order to suspend the rules for the commission's executive committee, as the agenda has changed a bit given the facts that I stated previously. Would someone like to make a motion, please? Let's see, Commissioner Hughes, thank you.
I so motion.
Wonderful, thank you. Do we have a second, please? If you
Hi.
would like to second, if you'd like to make a second, please type speak. Commissioner Hughes?
I second the motion.
Wonderful, thank you so much. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion before we vote? Seeing no request for discussion, I will now do a roll call. When I call your name, if you would please respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Blevins, Commissioner Robinson,
Yay.
Commissioner DeZenzo,
Yay.
Commissioner Friedman,
Yay.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yay.
Commissioner Nawana, Commissioner Hughes. Is Commissioner Nawana with us?
I don't believe so.
Okay, Commissioner Hughes,
Yay.
Commissioner Kim, Commissioner Martin,
Yay.
Commissioner Montezuma,
Yay.
Commissioner Opstead, Commissioner Philpott,
Yay.
Commissioner Polito.
Yay.
Terrific, and my vote is a yay as well. Thank you for that procedural item. We are now going to move on to non-agenda public comment. The public was invited to submit public comment on agenda and non-agenda items via a web form accessible through the agenda and the commission's website. Members of the public may also join this meeting as webinar attendees. If members of the public have submitted comments in writing via the web form, staff will read aloud their public comments submitted per city public comment protocol. I will now ask that Chuck please read aloud any non-agenda public comment or call on any attendees who would like to provide such comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Bossler. We have no non-agenda public comments submitted in writing. So to those members of the public in attendance, you may click the hand raise button to indicate if you would like to provide non-agenda public comment. When I call your name, please state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to provide comment. So Christine, it looks like, or Christine Martinez, I'm sending you a prompt to unmute, and you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. Again, my name is Christine Martinez, and I'm from Arts and Culture San Diego. You may have heard my name before. I've popped into a few of these meetings to introduce myself. I have also been to many of the city council meetings as of recently to advocate for arts and culture funding to return to pre-pandemic levels. And I'm really excited to say, with a lot of your help and help from members of the community, we were able to achieve that for fiscal year 23. But the work doesn't stop there. We understand there's a slight change to the budget process in the city, and they're now asking city council members to submit their budget priority memos by September and October. So it's time to gear up again to start for us to get out there and learn about all of the arts and culture, wonderful groups that are reaching out to all of the San Diego members and making an impact. And really what I would like to do and what I ask of you is that if you're interested at all in speaking with me, I've met several of you already. I would love to learn what's important to you, what's going on in your district. Are there advocates in your district who can speak to the value of the arts and culture funding that we are seeking? I would love a one-on-one meeting. I'm happy to drive out to your district. I'd like to strategize with you. And really, we just like to make an impact in front of City Council to let them all know the hard work that you're doing and the hard work that continues to happen throughout our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Is there any other, would anybody else like to provide non-agenda public comment? Please press the hand raise button now. And I'm seeing none.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much. And a big thank you to Christine for all that you are doing. We really sincerely appreciate all of your efforts. Okay, so now we're going to move into the chair's report section. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to read the minutes from the May commission meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes? If you would, please type speak in the chat window and verbally state your name and make your motion. Commissioner Friedman? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's Fritz Friedman, and I so move to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Do we have a second? Again, if you'd like to make a second, please type speak. Commissioner Hughes?
I second the motion.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Was that Tyler Hughes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is going to be interesting because we have Commissioner Abe Hughes and Commissioner Tyler Hughes, and their names are spelled a little differently, but I will be sure to clarify for future. So for the minutes, that was Commissioner Tyler Hughes who seconded the motion. Do we have any discussion? Okay, seeing no request for discussion, we'll now take a vote. Again, I will call your name, and if you'd please respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Please remember you do not need to have been present at the May meeting to vote or to discuss. Commissioner Smith? Commissioner Blevins? Commissioner Robinson?
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner DeZenzo.
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Friedman.
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Tyler Hughes.
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Nuana. Commissioner Abe Hughes.
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Leanne Kim. Commissioner Martin.
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Moctezuma.
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Opstead. Commissioner Philpott.
Yay.
Thank you, and Commissioner Polito.
Yay.
All right, and my vote is a yay as well. Now, moving right along, I would like to thank everyone for attending the June retreat. I hope that the meeting was both informative and enjoyable for you. We will be sending out a survey for your input and recommendations for next year's retreat, so keep your eye out for that. Please keep in mind that we are generally dark for the month of August and typically resume meetings in September, but that is contingent upon time-sensitive items. At the September meeting each year, we review and approve any substantive policy changes to the annual funding program. Please be sure to join us for that important meeting. Also, now that we have a full set of commissioners and we've gotten through the orientations and the retreat, we will be sending out that survey that I mentioned before to gather information on the best times for commission meetings for the group as a whole. A few commissioners have requested that we consider changing the day or the time of the monthly meeting beginning in the fall. Please look out for the survey from Bell in the coming days. I also want to note that we will be scheduling a workshop format commission meeting for some time in the next 4 to 6 weeks to have a focused presentation and conversation around what we can expect in the cultural planning process, as well as the World Design Capital 2024. As we've mentioned, Jonathan couldn't be with us today due to a World Design Capital obligation, so we'll be scheduling a special meeting in the near term. Okay, with that said, we're now going to move on to committee reports. Let's see, for policy and funding, Commissioner Tyler Hughes, is that something that you could speak to in Rebecca's absence?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Policy and funding did not have a meeting this month as there were no action items before us, but we're looking forward to potentially meeting in August, but certainly in September.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much for that. And then with respect to our action item that we're going to be looking at today for public art, my understanding is that Chuck is going to be presenting this item. It's with respect to a temporary exhibit proposal with the new Children's Museum and artist Hector S. Raway. I'm sure I'm not saying that right. And let's see, before we address that, we're going to do a conflict of interest disclosures. The recommendation affects the contracts with artists for the new Children's Museum and this particular artist, Hector S. Raway. Please assess whether you have any conflicts to disclose. When I call your name, if you have no conflicts, please state no conflict. If you do have a conflict, please recuse yourself from the discussion and voting on the action item. Before I go through calling roll with respect to stating whether you have a conflict or not, is there anybody that needs clarification on what a conflict of interest would entail? If you do, please type speak and we can have a quick discussion about what that would look like. Commissioner Martin.
Chair Bosler, if you could provide some clarification on what actually constitutes a conflict.
Okay, terrific. I actually, Christine, could I ask you to just quickly sum up what would constitute a conflict?
Yes, absolutely, Chair Bosler. So a direct conflict is what this is really regarding. So if, for example, you have a direct financial relationship with either the artist or the new Children's Museum, or serve as in a kind of a chair or vice chair capacity on, for example, the board at the new Children's Museum, that would be a direct conflict of interest and you would recuse yourself. Other than that, you know, apparent conflicts happen, but in this case, I don't foresee that. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, unless anybody else has a question, I'm going to go ahead and call roll. And please respond with, again, either stating no conflicts or that you need to recuse yourself based on an existing relationship with either the new Children's Museum or this particular artist, Hector S. Raway. Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Blevins. Is Commissioner Blevins with us?
Commissioner Blevins is not present.
Okay, Commissioner Robinson?
No conflict.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner DeZenzo?
No conflict.
Okay, Commissioner Friedman?
No conflict.
All right, Commissioner Tyler Hughes?
No conflict.
All right, Commissioner Nuana? Commissioner Abe Hughes?
No conflict.
All right, Commissioner Leanne Kim? Commissioner Martin?
No conflict.
Okay, Commissioner Moctezuma?
No conflict.
Okay, Commissioner Opstead is not with us. Commissioner Philpott?
No conflict.
All right, and Commissioner Polito?
No conflict.
Okie dokie, and I do not have a conflict either. At this point, I'm going to ask if Chuck could please share the discussion that was had at the committee level and provide an overview of both the proposal and the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Chair Bossler. So this action item today regards a application for a temporary exhibit received by city staff from the new Children's Museum. The applicant is proposing an exhibit of artwork by Mexico City-based artist Hector Esraue. The work consists of 6 varying styles of spinning sculptures with nylon straps that create a webbing support system over steel frames, allowing visitors to sit and stand on the structures while they spin. The exhibit has manifested about half a dozen times in the public realm, and this is a photo of one of those installations. Next slide, please. So these are just some renderings and elevation schematics of the installation components for your further information. Next slide, please. The exhibition is proposed for Children's Museum Park. Seen here across Island Avenue from the museum, south of the museum and west of Front Street, and will serve as an activation for visitors of the museum, as well as for visitors and residents of the Convention Center, Harbor Drive, Marina area of downtown. As well, the exhibition is proposed to be on view from September of this year through January of 2023. Next slide, please. So the exhibition will be installed on the turf area of the park, as illustrated in the schematic that shows location and spacing on this slide. Next slide, please. And so here's just kind of a massing mock-up of what the space would look like. Simply, but city staff evaluated the application with respect to the criteria and requirements contained in the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture Department Instruction Collection Management Policy for the Civic Art Collection, linked in the staff report. In their July meeting, the Public Art Committee voted unanimously to recommend to the Commission that the Executive Director of the Commission approve the temporary exhibit proposal. And the Executive Director of the Commission will consider the recommendation from city staff, the Public Art Committee, the Commission, and any other pertinent stakeholders before making the final decision on whether to authorize the proposed exhibit. Next slide. So the recommendation from the Public Art Committee is to recommend that the Executive Director of the Commission for Arts and Culture approve the temporary exhibit titled Los Trompos, consisting of an exhibit of artwork by artist Hector Esraue for temporary exhibit in Children's Museum Park. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner DeZenzo?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at the beautiful picture that you started with, and I kind of got distracted from what you were saying, but did you mention what the substrate was for the bars, or is it cloth or rope, or?
It's like a nylon webbing, as I understand it, that will be woven tight over steel frames.
Oh, okay. Okay, because yeah, I wasn't sure if it was metal and if it was going to be hot to touch or anything, but okay, cool. Thank you.
Commissioner, let's see, Commissioner Robinson?
Yes, is it possible if we can go back to that picture? That first, no. Yes. Okay, so is this an exhibit? Is this like a traveling exhibit, or is this, will it be original in the sense, like I'm looking at it now, so is this a traveling exhibit, or it's actually starting fresh at the Children's Museum?
Yeah, my understanding is that it is traveling and that it has had several other prior manifestations.
Thank you. Well, I
Okay.
have one more kind of question. So how old would you say it is with it having prior installations?
I believe that that information is specifically in the staff report, and if I'm not mistaken, its first iteration was in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, so it's relatively recent.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Commissioner Polito.
Yes, I just want to ask a question around context, being that this is artist from Mexico City with the name Trompos. My understanding is these are tops. And I think we would be in a wonderful opportunity to give more context to what are trompos and how do they fit with regards to cultural exchange. And I don't know if anything like that is provided, like there's a narrative or there's a presentation. And I would just think this is a wonderful opportunity to bring different communities and different perspectives together. So I just want to respond in that way.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much. Please, Chuck.
Oh yes, we'll certainly share that feedback with the museum. And I do know that they usually have a pretty robust set of didactics that is included with the exhibitions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Friedman.
Yeah, thank you very much, Commissioner Vossler. Chuck, I think I read this somewhere, or you may have mentioned it. The issue of insurance, if any child or adult is hurt in any way because of the spinning of the tops, I believe that that's already been covered, and that's not our responsibility. Is that right?
Correct. So basically the applicant would enter into a maintenance and removal agreement and with the city in order to produce the exhibit, and if approved, and one of the criteria for that would be that they would have to have insurance, active insurance.
Thank you.
Let's see, Commissioner Tyler Hughes.
Thank you, Chair. Chuck, if this is just such a fascinating and really cool exhibition, is there any chance that it could remain longer than the initial time frame? Is there any chance that we could say, you know what, we love this, let's make this a permanent structure?
I don't believe that there would be creating it as permanent would entail a donation process, which we would have to evaluate on its own terms. So for now, it would just be the temporary exhibition.
I would also add that oftentimes with traveling exhibitions like this, they're scheduled out. So it's possible that it is going somewhere else after its time in San Diego.
All very helpful information. A friendly reminder, if a commissioner would like to make a comment, please type speak in the chat box so that there's a record of it. Commissioner DeZenzo.
Yeah, just real quick, I was kind of just, I should have done this before you actually made this presentation, but I was just looking over the staff report, and what does it mean on here where it says condition not applicable? I don't understand why it wouldn't be applicable. I don't know. What does that mean? It's on page 2 of 4 of the staff report on this.
Right. Well, I think that it's basically saying, well, that it's an artwork that is kind of adapted specifically for its context. Rather, I think the condition usually refers to an artwork that's had a much longer history, or a pre-existing artwork, a sort of a pre-existing permanent work. and and basically the condition would refer to, what is the condition that it's in when it's becoming installed. This is something that is, designed to travel as well as be refurbished as it's placed in new contexts. So it's site specific in that sense, whereas the condition might refer to something that has more, or the condition might be more of a concern for something that is had a much longer history than something like this, or is less, where the materials are less designed for adaptability, if that makes sense.
So we're not saying that we don't care if it's in disrepair or that it's going to be in disrepair when we get it. Or we're just saying that we're understanding that it's a traveling exhibition and that it might not. I mean, I don't understand if we're saying, I'm not, I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. Like, obviously we would want something that's not in disrepair to be installed. So I would state that in the staff report that, it's going to be in good working condition, not going to have chips or cracks or, weird things that could, be eaten by children or whatever. I mean, I would be very specific about the condition of the piece, just for safety purposes, but I didn't know if the condition was for that particular subject or types a subject.
Mm-hmm.
So
noted. I appreciate that feedback. And
okay.
I would just clarify also that it is the responsibility of the new Children's Museum, if this is approved, to maintain it, refurbish it, and make sure it's upkept in good condition on site.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know that. And just to confirm before the vote, Chuck, no public comment on this particular item?
For those members of the public in attendance, please press the hand raise button now if you would like to provide comment on this item. And I'm seeing none.
Okay, Commissioner Abe Hughes.
Yes, it may have been covered in the report and possibly at the committee level, but my concern with the spinning and the movement of this particular sculpture has to do with potential liability. And where does this typically lie with a project like this? And is there any risk to the city? Or does the Children's Museum take that on entirely? I think part of our role needs to make sure we protect the city, right, with any kind of work like this.
Yes, as I mentioned previously, the museum assumes insurance and liability, and this has also been evaluated in detail with respect to safety and engineering. So yes, there's a note on the staff report regarding safety, and it's been determined that this would not produce liability for the city.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. I mean, I just want to make super sure, right? Because it's a children's museum and this is an unusual piece of art and that you can interact with it, you can get on it, right? And play with it, right? So I'm happy with your answer.
Thank you
so much for the question. Commissioner Philpott, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm just kind of reiterating what was just said, but I thought that I read in the staff report that there was actually an evaluation by the city's risk management division and they deemed it to be satisfactory. So that's what I saw, I thought, in the report.
Chuck, can you confirm if that's the case?
The commission has reviewed the proposal in working with other city departments. So yeah, we would work with other partners in other departments. In this case, we haven't worked. It wouldn't be risk management. We've worked with Parks and Rec, as well as the Development Services Department in evaluating this particular proposal.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that.
And Commissioner Moctezuma, did you have a question or a thought you wanted to share?
Yes, I just had thank you so much, Chair Bossler. I just had a comment that I've been to the Children's Museum, taken my kids to the museum, taken other kids to the museum for the last, 13, 14 years. There's a lot of items that kids can interact with, climb, and I know that the museum always takes the utmost care in making sure that everything is safe. So just from my experience with their history and all of the other art designed installations that they've done, that they are always very careful and they understand. Thank you.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much. So if there's no other discussion at this point, I'm going to take a roll call. If you would, please respond with yay, nay, or abstain in terms of your vote with respect to this particular item. Commissioner Smith is not attending today. Commissioner Blevins is not here. Commissioner Robinson.
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner DeZenzo.
Yay. I'm sorry, did we vote to approve this already?
That's what we're doing right now.
Oh, we didn't have a first and a second?
Oops.
Oh, thank you for that. Do we have a motion to approve the final temporary exhibit proposal with the new Children's Museum and artist Hector Ezra? If you would, please type speak in the chat and verbally state your name and make the motion. Commissioner DeZenzo.
I will motion to approve.
Thank you so much for that catch and for making the motion. Commissioner Moctezuma, do we have a second?
Yes, I second the motion.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Keeping me on my toes here. Now we're going to go ahead and vote. Please respond with yay or abstain. Commissioner Smith is not with us. Commissioner Blevins is not with us. Commissioner Robinson, once again, please.
Yay.
All right. Commissioner DeZenzo.
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Friedman.
Yay.
Commissioner Tyler Hughes.
Yay.
Commissioner Nwana is not with us. Commissioner Abe Hughes.
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Leanne Kim is not with us. Commissioner Martin.
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Moctezuma.
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Opstead is not with us today. Commissioner Philpott.
Yay.
Thank you. Commissioner Polito.
Yay.
Wonderful. And my vote is a yay as well. That is approved. Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to a committee report for advocacy and outreach. Commissioner Hughes, is there anything you would like to report out considering for your committee advocacy and outreach today?
Nothing at this time, Chair, but we are planning on, with the revised schedule, we are looking at next steps for starting up the advocacy engine again.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And let's see, with respect to Commissioner Engagement Ad Hoc Committee, Commissioner Friedman, anything you would like to share?
Yeah, so our team had a wonderful conference call early last month, and we made it very clear, as we had said in our various communications, how important it is for our commissioners to be seen, to go to events, to both determine what exactly our constituencies, what is important to them, to communicate with them, and just make sure they know that we are there for them. We had two recent events where we did just that, and one, of course, was the Pacific Highlands Ranch Library groundbreaking last Friday, which was really a lot of fun. The mayor was there. And it was a great opportunity for us to meet some of the people there in Pacific Highlands Ranch. And then the second event that we participated in was the San Isidro Park Social. And I know Alessandro was there and Abe was there, Keith was there, and of course, Jonathan Glass and Christine Jones were there as well. It was really a lot of fun see the artwork, the installation that was there, and to meet the two artists. And it was also a wonderful opportunity for us to get to know each other, the commissioners to really meet each other in person. So since those are such rare opportunities. And so we wish to continue going forward, doing just what we've been doing and just being out there. That's my report. Thank you.
That's terrific. And thank you so much for your willingness to get everybody engaged and create opportunities for us to be able to continue to foster relationships with one another and with the wonderful arts organizations in the community.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. I see Commissioner Hughes, Abe Hughes, did you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Friedman, for your gathering us together at the San Isidro Park. That was a quite remarkable, a wonderful exhibit of park, socials work. Another great opportunity to get out there and see these. And I encourage everybody to go out and see these in your neighborhoods because they really are really nice. And this one in particular brought together the community right there in San Isidro who helped actually make some of those rugs that were part of the whole exhibit. What I did want to mention, however, was that it would be helpful if somebody from the city or from the department here were able to alert us as to major events that might be happening within the districts we represent. For example, this one library opening that actually was happening, I believe, in District 1, and it's split with another district, right? We've got a lot of things going on in our lives, but this didn't rise to the top of my visibility, I would say. And since I represent District 1, I think it would have been really nice to have known that, hey, look, for a big event that doesn't happen like this very often, that's something I should probably go and attend to and be visible. I know there were others from the Arts Commission there, which is great. I'm glad we had representation, but I really think for lots of different reasons, it would have been nice that, I was there and, interacted with Councilman LaCava, with the mayor, etc., since it is my district, right? And so if there's a mechanism that we can deploy to make that happen, that would be really great.
I think that that's a great request. Christine, could I ask you to just speak to that for just a minute and to please make sure that that's carried forward to Executive Director Glass and that we can figure this out future forward?
Yes, happy to. So there was an invite that was sent out to all of the commissioners for the groundbreaking. Certainly in the future, we can clarify what council district those are happening in and reach out specifically to that commissioner in that area. So I will certainly relay that information to Jonathan and we'll work to make sure that you guys are aware of those opportunities.
Well, thank you, Christine. And that's just it. It's just an extra reminder. I know it might be more work for Bell or others there, but it helps us prioritize what we really need to be attending, right?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Commissioner Polito?
I just want to support Commissioner Hughes' point only because I was not able to attend the San Isidro event and I really wanted to, but unfortunately I already had a scheduled event in the community. So again, I know it's asking a lot, but if there was even a calendar for the upcoming months, then I can put it in my calendar and make sure I don't have anything conflicting, because I mean, not only is that my district, but it's also where I grew up. So I really was saddened that I could not be there.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Commissioner Moctezuma?
Yeah, no, I just want to, I attended the San Isidro and I attended the event that we also had, I guess, the kickoff in downtown. And I just want to commend the staff on the exciting projects and whoever the panel that selected the artists on the projects. I think it's really exciting and it has been really wonderful and fun to see all the activation of different spaces. I had a question of how long will these projects be? I mean, I know some are some of this still going to be up for a while, or?
I can speak to that under staff reports.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, Commissioner Philpott.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I thought I had clicked that a little bit ago. But anyway, I'm going to go back to the advocacy committee, and I think that's Tyler. Is that Tyler Hughes? So yeah, I'm interested, and I'm interested to talk to Christine, and I'm interested to get to know the work of that committee a little bit. So I'll be looking forward to hearing more about that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And Commissioner DeZenzo.
So I'm gonna harp on something that I've been harping on for the last like year and a half that I've been on this commission. I think it's extremely important that we have name badges. And I mean, if we're going to be going to these community events, people need to know. I mean, I'm not saying, do you know who we are? But I mean, it's important to like let people know that we're there, even if they don't recognize us or haven't seen us. It would be nice to be able to engage with people who are like, oh, you're a commissioner, and then they could ask questions instead of just being this nameless, faceless person in the crowd, right? So I'm going to request again that now that we have a full commission, that we get name badges. I think this would also be helpful for advocacy as well when we're going to meet with our council members and our electeds if we have name badges, because honestly, you know, sometimes they might forget who we are, or they might forget our names or whatever. And it's easy. It's better for them not to be embarrassed by forgetting our names than to have our names so that they can go, oh, I don't have to worry about being embarrassed that I forgot this person's name, right? So it's just kind of helping people a little bit understand who we are, what we're about, and letting people ask us questions. So I would just, please, I would like to get name badges this year if we can.
So I know that we have had those in the past. Christine, is it a fair request to ask that an email be sent to all commissioners to see if folks either need one or misplaced theirs, or whatever that might look like?
So I will refer this to Belle for her to follow up with you all on.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing that up, Tracy. Let's see, Commissioner Hughes.
Yes, just to, you know, as a follow-on to Commissioner DeCenzo's comments about visibility and officialization of what we do, I think it would be imperative that we also get some kind of a business card, which looks official, that we're, you know, out and about in the community doing the work that we do. And that would be nice to also raise that to Belle's visibility, if you know, so that we can, you know, each have, you know, some kind of a business card.
Okay, thank you for that, Commissioner Hughes. Commissioner Friedman.
Hi. Yeah, I just want, I certainly totally agree with what everyone has said about that. And I've been, of course, asking about that for the last year as well, Tracy. So we're on the same page there. I do know that both Belle and Jonathan are working on that, and emails have been sent off to the city about getting us that both the business cards and a badge. But I just thought, but certainly it's a good thing if other people chime in to say, yeah, this is important. So Tracy and I you know, aren't the only ones out there like, hey, can we have badges? And also the business cards, which Tyler mentioned. I think it's really important for identification.
Okay, terrific. Commissioner DeCenzo.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry to jump in on this, but so when I first got on the commission, I had asked about business cards, because if we're going and meeting people at organizations, they're not going to have any idea who the heck we are. And Jonathan back then did some research, and he was told that the reason why we couldn't have business cards is because there are, you know, 40, 50 plus commissions and boards at the city, and they don't want to pay for the business cards. And I actually asked him if it was okay if I made my own. And as a graphic designer, I actually know the rules of branding and making sure that, you know, things are not going to be like crazy and they're going to look like they represent the city. So I did actually make my own, and I've only used a couple of them here and there, usually for community members. But if we are continuing to allow, if the city wants to continue to allow me to do that, I would be happy to create templates for everyone and you can print up your own. I'm using, the branded colors, I'm using the correct logo, the whole deal. So Christine, let me know if that's something that, would be approved. I can even send my template to you guys and then the city can approve it if they want, so yeah.
I'd love to see it, Tracy.
And that way, the city doesn't have to cough up the money for all of the boards and commissions members. So
I agree.
happy to do it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for the lively conversation. Let's see, next we are going to move on to the director's report. Christine Jones is going to be presenting this today on behalf of Jonathan. Before we move on to that, Chuck, is there any public comment for this particular agenda item?
No public comments submitted in writing. To those members of the public in attendance, please press the hand raise button now if you'd like to provide comment on this item. And I am seeing none.
Okay, terrific. With that, Christine, the floor is yours for the next 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Bossler. So good afternoon, all the commissioners once again, and it's certainly wonderful to see you all. I just have one update for you today on Park Social so I can address some of the questions that came up. And before I start, I'll just also wanted to just say I've taken notes on all of your feedback and comments today, which I'll share. So we'll get some clarity on how we can move forward with some of your feedback. So with regards to updates today, I just want to first say thank you to all the commissioners and thank you, Commissioner Friedman, for kind of coming up with the idea of how all the commissioners coming to one of the projects for Park Social. So it was really fun to see all the commissioners as well as the public and community members and artists attending all of the one or more of these 9 projects that happened last Sunday on Exploration Day. It was certainly an action-packed day for many of us, particularly for staff as we moved around to all of the 9 projects. So, during Exploration Day, there were temporary installations with unique views of the city to art making community events and celebrations like down in San Ysidro with the Artists for Collective Memory, to even a marathon reading of novels at Mira Mesa Park. So there was a lot of different activities, a lot of wonderful, kind of very intimate, very special engagements between artists and the park users of these different spaces. So Park Social continues. It's continuing through November 20th. So there are many different types of, many of these artists are doing multiple iterations of their project or different happenings and events. All of that, there is an event listing and a calendar for all Park Social events on the website. I'm going to share that link with you again. So that's a really good reference. Commissioners are encouraged and welcome to attend any of these events. In fact, this weekend, Mario Mesquita's project called Paleta Communal Social Club, which is a mobile lab, launches. He'll be doing a mobile lab basically from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow. We'll send you an email later today with more information about that, but he'll be moving back and forth between Market Creek Canyon and Kennedy Neighborhood Park. So you can find him between these 2 locations, receive an ice pop in exchange for participating in a mini interview. So his project really explores stories of resilience and expression of memories, particularly as it relates to some of the things that have happened in the last few years with COVID and just all the different social engagements. So he'll be sharing those stories and they'll be utilized in a culminating event that he'll be hosting actually at Kennedy Park later in October. So he'll be doing the mobile lab tomorrow. He'll also be doing the mobile lab on August 13th if you can't make it tomorrow. So I would encourage you to check out his project and participate and engage with his mini interviews. And then we'll be rounding out July for Park Social with 2 other activities that are happening on July 30th. The artist Armando de la Torres Spring Tide pop-up festival will happen at South Crest Community Park. So that will be kind of a day long of activities. More information is available on the Park Social website, which I'll share with you in a moment. So I would encourage you all to come check that out. In addition, July 30th is also the first day for viewing Trevor Emery's Barely Touching art installation. And that installation will be on view for a couple of months, and that will be in Kensington Park. So Mario Mesquita's project is in Council District 4, Armando de la Torres project and Trevor Emery's projects are in Council District 9. The council district information is also available on Park Social website, but I'll just wanted to reiterate that for the purpose of your engagement and understanding where those projects are happening. So we hope you can go. We hope you can participate. Again, I'll share details. So please check the calendar, check the event listing on that page. We'd love to have you attend more of these events. And that concludes my staff report today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Some exciting things are happening. And thank you for that link as well. I see that in the chat box. Next, we will move on to if there's any new business for future agendas. And is there, Chuck, any public comment on this particular agenda item?
No comment was submitted in writing. To those members of the public in attendance, if you would like to provide comment on this item, please press the hand raise button now. And I'm seeing none.
Okay, I see Commissioner Moctezuma.
Thank you, Chair Bosler. This is for, and I'm new to this meeting, so if I'm not sure if this is appropriate, but I wanted to bring up something that I thought would be important to know because it affects the arts and culture organizations. And I was wanting to bring it up to see if it's something that we could discuss in next month or next meeting. So, you know, so I've heard from the Centro Cultural de la Raza and World Beat Center. There's a big concern about work that is going to be done along Park Boulevard for, I believe it's for a bike, designated bike lane. And it's going to reduce Park, I believe, at least for a while, to one lane. You know, Balboa Park is a region, it's really a regional park. It's not only a neighborhood park. And you have tons of people going there. And the Centro Cultural de la Raza and the World Beat Center are organizations that have been, you know, underserved within Balboa Park. And they're probably the ones that will be most affected by this construction and redesign. I believe that all of the other organizations, including the zoo, will also be affected because Park is not a huge, you know, avenue. And if you narrow it down to just one lane, I think it's going to be a big problem. And there's a designated bike lane already on 5th Avenue, which is across the other side of the park. And this is probably a decision that was made by the city already. I think they're moving ahead with it. So I'm not sure if there's anything that we can do, but in any case, I think knowing more about it, this is in my district. So, you know, so I was very interested in knowing more about it, knowing the impact that it's gonna take. And we were talking about equity in our first, you know, meeting together, and I believe that that we should listen to organizations like the Centro and the World Beat Center, and, you know, of course the other organizations, and see what they have to say. So I wanted to bring this up again. I'm not sure if, as a commission, you know, if we have any way to have a dialogue about this. I don't know if it's a done deal. If anything, maybe to mitigate in some way. So I just wanted to bring this up.
So I think it's a good point. Christine, my question would be, knowing that probably we're not going to have a meeting in August, what would be the most expedient way to provide commissioners with information about this? And what would you recommend to make sure that commissioners have the information and can weigh in as appropriate?
So there's two things. We can, staff can look further into this and understand the timeline and whether there's opportunities for learnings. It could be something that you would recommend as an information item. So we could have somebody potentially come and provide more information so you feel informed. So there are a couple different options there.
Commissioner Moctezuma, do you know the time horizon?
I know that the thing, I got a request to speak as a community member, but it was for a meeting yesterday, I believe. And I got it way too late. I couldn't really participate because you had to put it in your comment by 6, and I got the request like at 4:45. I didn't see it until later. And so I'm not sure if this has been already decided. It's unfortunate that I wasn't aware, or maybe that it wasn't something that was being discussed prior to this meeting yesterday. I don't know if I'm allowed to share this, but I do have the letter from the Centro Cultural de la Raza that was submitted with their concerns. And if it's appropriate, I could share that as in whatever means you consider, appropriate again to share. But I'm not sure, if the decision, if the meeting yesterday, that was when the city was making the decision, or if there's still time. I'm not as informed as I'd like to be on it.
I would suggest that you refer it back to staff to look into it, and we can provide an update. And if it's time sensitive, we can provide some information or direct you to where you can learn more about it. Otherwise, you can recommend potentially an information item for a future agenda. To comply with the Brown Act, we can't really further discuss it at this time, but you can recommend it for a future agenda. And of course, staff will refer you to information once we identify that's available to you.
Okay, thank you for that. Commissioner Hughes, did you want to speak to this item as well?
No, just to clarify, I wanted to speak to the item of just in general, new business, right? And
okay.
The idea that what sparked my interest in raising a new subject here is a little bit of what we've been doing with Park Social. I think there are really great stuff going on in that area, and having visited a couple of the big sites, one of the things that I noticed was that we're not getting a lot of airtime in terms of social media. And then just in terms of marketing in general, I think that, the website is very good. But what I'd like to surface is maybe at a future meeting, we could talk about what are we doing to market the work that we're doing here as a commission, because the more, I guess, eyeballs we have and more followers, and, this is the way it works today. And with regard to mass marketing, social media is the key. And when I look at our SD Arts and Culture Instagram account, just as an example, it really only has 616 followers. We should be in the thousands if we want to have impact in this city, and we are going to have to figure out how do we crack this nut. So I'd like a discussion around how do we market ourselves, how do we get a bigger swell going on the various social media areas, Instagram being a super important one for the arts community. And just that topic is what I'd like to see addressed in the future.
Terrific. So far we have adding to the future agenda for the commission meeting, the work on Park Boulevard, and hopefully, Christine, an opportunity for information to be sent to all commissioners before with an update on the time horizon and what exactly is going on and where further information can be gleaned, in case the information is important prior to our September meeting. And then also adding an action item for a future commission meeting with respect to kind of overall marketing for the Arts Commission and what that looks like. Let's see, Commissioner Martin.
Thank you, Chair Bosler. I'd like to ask if at some point, perhaps staff can provide a report, briefing, or update on the county of San Diego's new Arts and Culture Commission, and like what that process looks like, the timeline, and how we can collaborate in a thoughtful way with them and provide the best level of value and service to our respective communities.
I think that's a terrific suggestion. So adding to a future agenda with respect to the commission that's being formed at the county level and the specifics around that and how it is that we can collaborate with them. Love that. Commissioner Montezuma, I see you type speak again. Was that back for your original item or was there something else?
That was back from my original item.
Okey doke. Commissioner Philpott.
Yes, all of that discussion of all of that of the marketing and visits and everything else reminded me that sometime I would like to get some more clarification on what our official visits are, because there are a lot of organizations that I'm going to visit or have visited, not in an official capacity, and I'm not sure. I have read that in the handbook, and I understand a little bit about what that's about, but I'd like to have a discussion, I think, or clarification of that in a report sometime. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Christine, I'm sure you were able to capture all of that. We're going to be a busy group. This is terrific. Look forward to these various items, and thank you so much for understanding that this is how the work gets done and that we bring this up and then it's on a future agenda so that we're abiding by the Brown Act. So thank you for that as well. And let's see, any other comments or business to come before the group today? It's a very productive meeting. I am actually on the East Coast with my family and in a house full of folks who are at various stages of COVID. So if it's okay for today, we're going to skip the speed round so I can get back to my family here. But I see that Commissioner Martin had something that he wanted to say.
Yes, ma'am. I had one more item for new business I'd like to introduce, and not an urgent thing. I've been thinking a lot about the idea of like joint use facilities that we see at school districts, where it's typically like a nice turf field or an indoor soccer field or basketball court or whatever the case may be. Could there be an opportunity to create joint use cultural facilities on school district property throughout either San Diego Unified or other school districts within the city of San Diego as another value add and activation of what would otherwise be often surplus or underutilized property after school hours and things like that. So if staff could also maybe begin to inquire what that landscape and ecosystem looks like.
If I'm hearing correctly, it sounds like potentially a partnership with Parks and Rec or some other opportunity. Christine, maybe you can capture that in a way that we can have the open dialogue about that at our next full commission meeting.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So we'd have to look into that. That would require some staff research and better understanding of the landscape and how those work. So I would suggest that it might take longer to learn a little bit more about how those work. So we could report out on that after some research is undertaken.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Terrific. I think that a couple of things that we've been hitting on here today are around collaboration and partnership and working with other groups and making sure that we're present in a way that we can really maximize the opportunity ahead of us. And I saw Commissioner Robinson raising your hand in your little box. Did you have something you wanted to share?
Yes, funny you should mention Commissioner Martin. I just had to leave a Zoom on land use through the Residential Leadership Academy. So I'm actually hoping to get the presentation. It was Heather Wooten, and she's a city planner, and it was about land use, exactly what you are talking about. So I will definitely work to get that information to Christine and go from there, at least as a start. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds great. And Commissioner Hughes, did you have a recommendation in terms of the item with the county referring that to an agenda item for the next advocacy and outreach meeting?
Yes, Chair. Since I serve on the San Diego Regional Arts and Culture Coalition, as a representative from this body, as well as our role in advocacy and outreach. We may just want to refer the county's new commission over to us to get the details, and then we can report back to the full commission. Chair, I can't hear you if either you're on mute or my phone is dying on me.
It was me. I said, thank you very much. It sounds like a great idea. If that could be added to the next agenda for the advocacy and outreach, that would be terrific.
Thank you, Chair. We'll take care of it.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Everybody stay healthy. You do not want COVID if you haven't had it. So keep yourselves healthy and look forward to seeing you again. With that, we'll adjourn this meeting of the Arts Commission.